am going to show you exactly how to create AI videos like this using free unlimited AI tools. Here is the kind of video we are going to be creating. This deer is about to be captured. They need it for their festival. But why a deer? Long before the Efutus ruled this land, the people and their god, Penche Otu, lived in harmony. The god protected his people, and the people worshipped their god. The god shielded them from all evil and ensured their victory in battles. But one day, the people wronged their God. They pleaded for mercy. The God demanded a human sacrifice. The people obeyed since they needed the protection of the gods. It became a yearly practice that a human will be sacrificed every year to appease the gods. Years passed. The people were beginning to lose too many noble men to this yearly sacrifice. They went pleading with the gods again. This time, they were lucky. The gods accepted for a lion to be used instead of a human. But even that proved deadly. More men were lost hunting lions than from the human sacrifices. Sadness engulfed the village. They begged once again. The gods listened again. The sacrifice will now be a deer. The hunt was called Abuachir. Today is the Abuachir festival, and this deer must be presented for the sacred sacrifice. To Today, the Aboagye Festival stands not just as a tradition, but as a bridge carrying the spirit and stories of the Efutu people from one generation to the next. As the drums echo and the streets of Winneba comes alive, the return of sons and daughters fuels a vibrant pulse of economic activities, reigniting bonds of kinship and unity. In celebration, the seeds of cultural pride and community development are sown once more.
Pretty impressive, huh? Please make sure to watch this video till the end because some of the AI tools are not truly free, but I'm going to show you a way of getting around this and getting free unlimited generations. It may be a little unethical, but hey, if you do not have money to be able to invest in AI tools for now, I suggest you use that particular technique to do that. And I'm only going to reveal this at the end of this video, so make sure to stick around. Now, for full disclosure, this tutorial is not a step-by-step tutorial, but just a general overview as to how to create videos like this. Now, to begin with, we started with a story. Story is king. And when it comes to stories, I'm a strong proponent that write your own story before you even begin using an AI tool, because from my experience, AI tools seem to generate very generic stories and they don't seem that natural. So the story we use for this emanates from a community in the West African country of Ghana called Winneba, and the story was mainly generated using oral sources and also a little bit of scholars like Professor de Graaf, who had written a little bit about this whole Aboagye Festival. So we took inspiration from all these sources and then we manually, the keyword here, manually wrote the story. Because if you tell an AI tool to create this story, you are not going to be able to stand out in the crowd. And what I am here to show you is how to be unique and also stand out of the crowd. Now, after creating our story, the next thing was to think about how exactly we will use visuals to tell this whole story. So in that particular case, we picked each scene and broke it down into various images. And in this particular case, we fed our story into ChatGPT and asked it to help us break the scenes into short compositions. And trust me, this is where a little bit of your knowledge of traditional cinematography would come in. AI is not going to be able to nail every single angle like the way you want it. And so you have to think outside the box and try to come up with ways that, or shots that you would have taken if this was real life footage that you were filming. So we went through this stage and did a lot of manual additions to the script. Now, after we had all the scenes ready, we had to go ahead and generate prompts for them. Once again, ChatGPT came in handy. We took each particular scene with the descriptions that the AI had given, and we were ready to go ahead and generate the images. Now, for full disclosure, we used an image to video workflow and not text to video. Now, why is this important? This is very important because when you use text to video, you might not be able to recreate consistent characters over and over again. And in this particular regard, we needed to be able to create consistent characters. So by that, it's always better to generate the images first and then feed the images into a video generation software and now generate the videos out of the pictures. That way you can keep everything very consistent. So basically that was our reason for adopting this particular approach. Now, once we had all these things ready, we decided to use a free tool called Google Image FX. Guys, this is one of those rare situations where I feel like the free tool sometimes packs a punch and almost knocks out even the paid tools, because for some reason, the results I get from this free AI tool seem to work better than what I get from even some of the highly paid AI tools out there. We used it to generate all the pictures. In this particular regard, all we had to do was that in the beginning of the sentence, you just have to make sure that you include the style. So we make sure to include the 3D Pixar style first, and the following part of it is a description or the prompt of exactly what we want the images to look like. And you can apply the same knowledge to other forms. For example, if you are creating a realistic one, using real human beings, you would indicate that. But in our case, since this is a cartoon animation movie, we had to indicate that this is a 3D animation. So in all these generations, to keep them very consistent, after putting in the prompt before you even generate, you need to come down here and click this lock button. And the next time you generate something new, it's always going to be similar. But the lock alone does not create the magic. The time we were creating the prompts, you should have created it with so much details. Make sure that everything about the character is described very well. That way, the AI would be able to keep everything very consistent. So do not use very scanty prompts when you are generating, and then your main intention is that you want to get everything up and running effectively. Just like with every AI tool, you are not going to be able to get everything perfect as you want it to be. So this is where manual adjustments come in. So in our case, we used Photoshop to do all the adjustments, but I know that is technically not a free software. So you can use any other free alternative out there to be able to do any sort of manual adjustments that you may seek to be able to make. Once this is completed, trust me, the next stage is the most exciting part, which is the video generation process. Now, we are going to feed all these images into our video generation software. We use Kling and then in some cases, Halos Minimax. Now, Minimax, in my opinion, has the best free package for any sort of beginner AI person who want to create videos of this nature. Now, if you sign up with their service, they are going to give you free credits for you to be able to use. And then after that, if you exhaust all that, on daily basis, they are still going to give you almost about 100 credits every single day for you to be able to use. Now, in the beginning of the video, I did promise that I'm going to show you a way of doing this, even though I also cautioned that this can be a little bit unethical. Now, what do I mean? If you've exhausted all your credits, you can simply create a new email address and start all over again. That way, you can generate stuff endlessly and in a very unlimited way. Use this knowledge with caution, guys, because people are in the background. They've struggled so hard to create these AI tools and even train them. I find it so unethical if you do this. But if you're just starting, I think it's a good way to, know whether this is for you before you commit yourself in paying your first few dollars for using the package. But if you do have the money, I do recommend that both Minimax and Kling, please make sure to subscribe because their services are really good and I do recommend that you do so. Like I said, only use this unethical means when you are starting out and you don't have the money. Maybe just as a way of letting you discover if AI filmmaking is your thing or not. If it's not your thing, it's simply okay. The next thing I did here was to go ahead and generate those videos. Now, when it comes to generating video prompts, my general rule of thumb is that look at the image and ask yourself, what would you want this to be about in terms of the video, the motion, what is supposed to happen there. So for example, in Kling here, all you need to do is to just come here, image to video, and then click here to upload any image, or you can simply do a drag and drop. Once your image is there, you come down here and then you type in your prompt. So once you type in the prompt of the action, that is exactly what you want the things to be doing. At the end of it, you also add a camera description. What should the camera be doing? Because after all, we are creating video here. Yes, static shots are good, but what really separates photography from video is mostly the motion. So in this particular case, we can use dolly shots, we can use crane shots, and all other forms of shots that we know. Once again, your knowledge of cinematography or traditional cinematography knowledge would come in handy at this particular point in time. I can also assure you that in the video generation process, sometimes it's a hit or miss. You may have to try several times before you get something that you may call usable. Another time, you can try over and over again and you never end up getting what you want. In this particular picture like this, I really wanted to have this guy leaping in the air and he falls to hold the deer, but I tried and tried. Mostly something weird happens. It's either he's defying gravity, hanging in the air. The AI totally understood this differently, and no matter how I changed the prompt, it just didn't work. And so these are the little quirks that if you intend to do any of this AI stuff, you should still keep in mind that these tools are not perfect, and sometimes the results can be very strange and sometimes quite frustrating as well. Now, after generating the videos, before you proceed to do the editing, what I would suggest is that please make sure to stay organized. So in our case, I went back by comparing all the generated videos to the existing script, and then I renamed all the videos according to the numbers. So technically, which image are we supposed to see first? I'll name it image 1, or let me say video 1. Which video would be next? I name it 2, and that's how I continue naming them. Even if you open this in the folder, you would realize that from 1 to the last number, they are arranged in a chronological order, just even before we begin the editing process. Now, with the editing process, you can go ahead and use any existing editing software. These days, I find out that many editing softwares can do a lot of magic. In my case, sometimes if I want a free option, I do go with Wondershare Filmora, and I think that is quite accessible and cheap and free for everybody to use, even though some of its features, especially the AI features, are paid. But if you just want to be able to edit and export and all that, it is actually free for use. One thing I would want to put out here is that for all these free AI tools, most of them or almost all of them would leave a watermark below the video. In my case, mostly, if I'm creating a movie, I'll put cinematic bars from the top and down, so it is not really a case. I end up blocking all those watermarks, so it is not really an issue for me. But if you're someone who creates 16:9 footage, I feel like this is something that you should take key note of. And I think Wondershare Filmora also has a tool that can allow you to remove them. But as at the time of making this video, I personally haven't used that yet, so it's difficult to recommend that. But hey, it is worth checking out as well. But for this specific example, we edited using Adobe Premiere Pro. And of course, that is a standard video editing software. And I know not all of us have that high level of skill to be able to do that, but which is okay because we can still go ahead and use all the other free options that I've recommended. We went ahead, standard video editing stuff, arranging the videos one after the other. And then at the same time, we also recorded the voiceover that we used. So by recording the voiceover, we just placed the voiceover under here, and then we worked on the video. So in my case, I like to always have the videos generated, and then I have the sound, and then I edit the video according to what the narrator is saying. So if he says that long before the Futus ruled this land, so I know that this is what I'm going to be showing at this particular point in time. And now after all this, all you need to do, if you want the extra step, extra quality, you go ahead and upscale this. In all this, it boils down to your need. Once you are done with this step, you can just go ahead and render, and you have your final product. Or right after the video generation, you can upscale them even before you start editing. The choice is yours. You decide. I do hope this video was helpful. Let me know if you have any further questions in the comment section below. And if this is your first time of seeing my face, welcome. This is African Almai's channel. Over here, we do talk about cinematography, photography, editing, and all its related branches. If all this sounds interesting, I'll do much appreciate it if you do click on the subscribe button. Please make sure to turn on the post notification bell so you are notified anytime I drop awesome content like this right here from the continent of Africa. And oh, if you still want more tutorials on how to create very realistic looking AI films, click here to watch this particular video, and I'll catch you there. Until next time, as always, guys, keep practicing filmmaking. Peace out.